Welsh, what is that? Well, it's kind of like Ireland, but it's somewhere in England. That's a conversation that a BBC reporter overheard when he was in the United States doing a story about the Welsh impact on America. There are all kinds of traditions unique to the country Wales. Some that are kind of dark, and some that are kind of happy and cheerful. Um, I chose this topic because my family, some parts of my family was descended from Wales, and because of that, I spent the past week or so researching some of the customs and traditions. Wales is oftentimes wrapped up into the United Kingdom, which is England, Scotland, Ireland, and Wales. But it truly is a country that has its own customs and traditions that are unique to the country Wales. So, as you can see in slide 2, what we're going to talk about today is we're going to talk about the Cephal-Prawn, the Cullenig, and the Nos Galan races. So in slide 3, we'll kind of talk about the Cephal-Prawn a little bit. And what that was, essentially, was a way for society to impose social norms and social structures onto the individuals who lived in the society before there were official social structures set into place like governments and that type of thing. And what would happen is if you did something immoral or you did something that was out of the norm, what would happen is the townspeople would come and they would take you and they would strap you to a wooden horse, which wasn't really a wooden horse. It was a ladder or some kind of elongated piece of wood, and they would basically just parade you through town. And that was intended to humiliate you and to convince you not to do that again, and hopefully convince all the other people in town not to commit the same act that you did or any other immoral act like it, because the same fate would await you if you were to do that. But obviously that doesn't happen anymore. What we'll talk about next is what we'll talk about next is an ancient tradition and custom, but it still happens today. You'll still see it today when you're in Wales on New Year's Day. And so you can see that in slide 4. What that is the Cullenig, and what that translates to is New Year's gift. And you can kind of compare that to the American custom or tradition of trick-or-treating on Halloween. And that is because on New Year's Day, children will go around from door to door, house to house, and instead of trick-or-treating, they will wish the people that live inside of the residence a Happy New Year and prosperity and peace throughout the whole year. And in return, they'll get money and gifts themselves, which is a pretty fair trade-off. So the first two that we talked about were both ancient customs and traditions that go back a long ways, but one, rightfully so, doesn't happen anymore, and the other still happens today. This next one, the story goes back a long ways. It goes back hundreds of years, but the actual custom or tradition is fairly new. It's only been around for 40 or 45 years, and those are, as you'll see in slide 5, the Nos Galan races. And that is a 5K race that draws thousands of people from all across the world to southern Wales to join in a race that honors a famous Welsh runner, Guto Nyth Bron. And one of his claims to fame is that he could catch a bird in mid-flight. That's how fast he was. He could also run 7 miles in the time that it took a kettle to burn. So still today, kids, adults, athletes, or enthusiasts, fans, it doesn't matter. Anybody around the world can come and take part in this Welsh tradition and custom. So, as you'll see in slide 6, what we talked about today were Welsh customs and traditions, the Cephal-Prawn, Cullenig, and Nos pollen races. So as you can kind of see, a lot of people will try to just wrap whales into the United Kingdom as that and try to take away the what is unique about Wales, but it truly does have its own customs and traditions that are separate from the rest of the United Kingdom. So Laurie Lee had this to say about Wales and the Welsh people. The Welsh are not like any other people in Britain, and they know how separate they are. They are the Celts. They are a tough little wine-dark race who were the original possessors of the island, who never mixed with the invaders coming later from the east, but were slowly driven into the western mountains. So, if you have any questions, please post them to the discussion board, and I would just like to thank you for your time and attention.